G'day guys, we're here with the 2025 Mazda BT-50 GT. It's the automatic and it's in this beautiful red earth metallic. You'll notice that some things have changed, just like where I'm standing. The headlight design is a little bit more aggressive, a little bit blacked out and a little bit more modern. The headlight and grille area has been transformed into a slightly more modern and updated version of the previous spec. You have front parking sensors and rear parking sensors because that's still important and still incredibly handy. But overall, it's a very nice and clean looking ute. And in the price segment that it currently sits in, it's actually not that bad. So you can get one of these for somewhere between 60 and 70,000, depending on how much you negotiate and what dealership you go to, plus just how friendly the dealership itself is and how willing they are to move one on. And I don't think that's actually that bad a price point, given the incredible amounts of value that you get. Let's have a look what you get under the bonnet. Underneath the bonnet, you'll find a 3-litre turbo diesel engine, which is good for 140 kilowatts worth of power and 450 Newton meters of torque. It doesn't seem like much compared to some of these other engines that are good for 500 Newton meters of torque, or perhaps maybe they're good for a little bit more kilowatts, but in all honesty, this is enough. It gets you up and going, it gets you towing really well, and it gets fuel consumption just where you need it to be so that you're not over the top in fuel use for a diesel, but that the engine is actually also going to be pretty strong and reliable long term by not overworking it and overstretching just how much you get out of the engine. Let me know in the comments section if you currently have one of the outgoing BT-50 versions, which are Isuzu based, what you think of the fuel consumption and what you think of the overall power. Is it enough for you? Does it need more power? Of course, a lot of people will always want more power like a V8, but bearing in mind that this is a 4-cylinder turbo diesel that's meant to be a work ute and also meant to just get some good range and good reliability out of the engine, do you think that's enough power? I personally have had zero issues every time I've tested this car, so let me know. Pricing on this car, 60 to 70,000, depending on which dealer you're going to get, I think is an absolute deal when you consider that you would be much more for something like a Toyota Hilux SR5 equivalent or a Ford Ranger Wildtrak equivalent as well. The car itself is a beautiful canvas for you to do what you want with it. The wheels, you get these 18-inch standard wheels. These ones here have been upgraded to the Mazda accessory wheels, but you get standard highway terrain tires, which are great for sand use. They're not great for mud, but the majority of users are going to keep on the road, or at very worst, go onto a beach. And highway terrain tires, they're suitable for a beach as long as you deflate the tires to the right conditions. So they've done great in what they've chosen there. And for those that are heavy, hardcore four-wheel drivers or just passionate four-wheel drive adventurists, you're going to have your preferred brand of all-terrain tire or mud-terrain tire. So a manufacturer providing you a tire that you're not going to want from day one is probably not something you want anyway. So great job there from Mazda. Plus, it also helps with fuel consumption for everyone that isn't going to go for an all-terrain or a mud-terrain tire anyway. And the highway terrain is just enough. Side steps are standard and they're actually pretty decent in terms of the actual space that you get on them because you can actually fit most of your foot. So if you were wearing work boots, you should be pretty good. If you're going to more extreme off-road adventures, you probably will want to update those. Chrome handles on the outside, smart entry and smart start with those handles as well. I love the fact that there's no sports bar on the back. Why? Because sports bars are just absolutely impractical, where you can put a hard cover, a soft cover, a roll cover, whatever you want to put on the back here, or even leave it completely open, but you actually have a tremendous amount of space to use that's not obstructed by a sports bar. Rear tailgate has been dampened. You have, with this particular car, a drop-in tub liner, which makes it very easy to sweep out whatever tip run you've done over the weekend. Or if you are using it for work and putting some sand in, you're not going to get it in all these different places that are going to chip away at the paint over time, leading to potential surface rust. So a great thing there. That tailgate is incredibly light to close. Now, for someone like myself or the typical male owner, it may not be an issue, but if you have a mum or a parent with a kid in the arm, shopping or groceries or something else that you're trying to load in the other, or even a child that's trying to get their camping gear out of the back, having it drop down really lightly and close really lightly at the strength of a finger is actually pretty good. Towing, you can option up with an optional tow bar kit and also the electronic brake controller kit. That will give you up to 3.5 ton worth of towing capacity. You have updated rear tail lights, plus just what's overall a very nice looking rear end for a very practical work ute. Let's have a look what you get inside. Moving through to the inside, you have bottle holders that will hold 1.25 litre bottles as well as 600 ml bottles. Place for your keys, wallets, whatever you have on the side. A grab handle and soft touch materials just here and here, but still plastic top and bottom. It is a ute after all. Power windows, power mirrors, central locking all through here, including electronically retractable external mirrors. That's fantastic because if you are going off-road and you are going on some tighter tracks, you don't have to lean over and grab them to pull them in, or if you're just going to a car wash. Moving through to the inside, the great thing with the BT-50 is that the steering wheel has always been height and reach adjustable. So you can place it exactly where you need it to be for those longer journeys. The one downside to a lot of the cheaper competitors that this is up against, they sometimes skimp out on a few functionality options, including adjustable steering wheels. They just give you a tilt steering wheel, and it's not really the most comfortable way to drive if you've got to do a lot of driving in this car. If you are touring, these seats are incredibly comfortable. They're really well bolstered on the side, particularly for the bigger sized gentlemen like myself. You're not going to have a seat that's digging into your ribs, but you will have one that's actually pretty good in terms of support, pretty good lumbar support and control, and allows you to, lean into corners when you are traveling off-road or just going over bumps. Your grab handles, right where you need them to be. You have an adjustable seatbelt height area just there as well. These are all things that normally I wouldn't point out on a standard passenger sedan or SUV, but in a ute, quite a lot of brands are missing some of these or a combination of these, so it's always worth talking about. Steering wheel, soft leather, very nice to feel. Indicators have auto on and off headlights plus fog light functionality, and on the left-hand side you do have wipers. Aircon vents right where you need them to be, and there has been a functional update to the infotainment system, giving you a 9-inch digital display here with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Plus, with this new update, it means that both of those are now wireless as well in compatibility. Down the bottom here, you have a little area for you have a little area for coins and a couple of additional slots here should you want things like driving lights or any other accessories that Mazda offers or non-genuine players offer. Come through to the center, let's have a look what you get in here. Moving through to the center, you have pretty decent cup holders. They will fit a 600 ml bottle, they will fit a McDonald's large cup. They won't fit those obnoxiously large oversized Stanley cups. However, you could fit almost every other cup directly in there. The back one is slightly more squared off, so if you do need a bit more girth and it's not quite as round, the back one's probably got you covered. Over here, you have a rear diff locker. You've got your rough terrain mode. You have heated seats for the front two seats, and you also have your downhill assist control buttons, all nice and easily accessible. I love that they have not gone for gloss black in this center section here like many brands do. And that is because it scratches so easily. So this should hold up pretty good. A little storage area down here for your wallet, keys, whatever else you need. A little bit disappointing that there's no wireless charging pad there. It would have been a really handy feature to have. 2 USB-C charging outlets, one fast charge and one is a data mode function so that you can plug into the head unit if you don't want to use wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Over here, you have a top glove box area, which is good for holding little bags like these. Or a glove box down the bottom here that's good for holding all your books and everything else that you need. Air conditioning vents for the passenger side right where they need to be as well, and dual zone climate control, which they'll love if you have a partner. You will absolutely love not having to argue that they're too cold or they're too hot while you're too hot or you're too cold. 12-volt outlet down the bottom here and a dial for your gear selection on the four-wheel drive system. Now, this review won't be a four-wheel drive review, so if you do want to see what this is like off-road, there are plenty of great channels that do offer that kind of coverage. Car Expert, Drive, and many more are definitely recommended channels that you can go and view this information in. Reverse camera is also quite interesting. So once you put it in reverse, it's just a standard straightforward camera. It is a little bit disappointing that the quality of that screen is not as great as I would have expected for a car in 2025, particularly some of the competing lower priced Chinese entrants into the market that have much higher quality resolution for the screens and very crisp, clear displays both during the day and at night, especially for something so vital when it comes to safety. The guidelines do move, however, so you can twist them left and right and they will adjust accordingly. And you do see the edge of your bumper in case you are reversing, so you can reverse right up to that tow bar or just right up to a tight space. Whatever you're doing, it will do it there. There's no 360-degree camera system. You don't really need it, but you do have 360-degree coverage in terms of parking by having front and rear parking sensors as well that will go off at you and let you know where things are. Rear cross traffic alert and rear cross traffic braking is standard on this car. I currently have rear cross traffic braking turned off because if you're reversing into tight gaps, it will activate prematurely. That is just a function of that on many other models as well, not just Mazda or Isuzu. So just bear that in mind. And outside of that, this is quite a comfortable seat to be in. I really, really like this space. And the BT-50, if you've watched my previous review of the old model, I actually really like it. And I think it's one of the best value 4x4s in the country at the moment. Let's check out the back seat space. Stepping into the back, you have really good headroom. You have decent amounts of leg room, including foot space underneath the front seat. That front seat is how I would drive and how I would sit in it. So you do have a decent amount of usable seat space. Pockets behind each of these seats for whatever you want to store, plus a 4-kilogram hook just here if you've got any shopping that you want to hang or hold on there. Although nowadays with the likes of Woolworths and Coles shifting to paper bags, I highly doubt any of their bags can hold 4 kilos. So be brave if you want to be brave. I reckon the bag is going to break before that little hook breaks. You have a USB-C fast charge port just here. Little storage area for whatever you have really, but it doesn't quite fit half a phone. So you're kind of balancing it just in there if you are putting a phone in. And it's also too narrow compared to most current phones. You do have aircon vents just here. They're fantastic in summer, but whoever's in the middle will get chilly knees. But if it's two of you, you'll at least get a little bit of a breeze. The rear seats are perforated, so you will end up with a slightly better breathing rear seat experience. You have a center armrest down here that pops down with cup holders and ISOFIX ports on the outer two seats if you are intending to put any child seats in the back. If you are putting more than 2 child seats in, you can fit one in the middle, or you can allocate one seat to the middle as you have child tether points directly behind each of these seats as well. One of the other cool things as well is it does have a live surround sound audio system in the GT grade, meaning that you get some really good audio the whole way around the car, and that is actually really nice. But outside of that, it's a really comfortable place to be with grab handles on both sides at the back, a window ledge that is at a decent convenience space and height for where your arm would be if you are sitting in the back here. And I think you'd get a decent amount of backseat space for most families, but also most companies if you have the occasional person sitting in the back. Let's go for a drive. Let's see how it drives. All right, so the BT-50 drives just how you would expect a 4-cylinder turbo diesel ute to drive. However, one of the very nice things about the BT-50 is that it is a lot smoother and more comfortable than a lot of its competitors without having had gone to a coil rear end. In terms of space, visibility, you get plenty of it. It's pretty decent, and in terms of cornering, it handles really, really well. Minimal body roll for what is essentially a work ute, and a quiet cabin on the inside makes it a very nice experience if you aren't using it to go to a job site every day and maybe you're using it for tax reasons, or perhaps you're using it because it's the car that you've bought for retirement and you're cruising around the country, or any other reason that you would use it for. We're going over some pretty rough, back streets at the moment here that have recently been flood affected, and they're the least level of roads, and the car is handling those bumps and undulations pretty well. Plus the turns around the roundabout, it handles incredibly well as well. The one thing I really do like is the fact that I'm not getting alerted all the time that I'm not looking out the front, or if I've yawned once, that if I yawned for a little bit too long, that the car's now going to tell me I need to take a coffee break and start beeping its head off at me like a previous car that I've reviewed in this ute segment. The car itself isn't telling me that I'm not looking straight forward because I'm looking down at the digital display or looking at the CarPlay system. The car is just letting me drive and letting me be the driver. And I think that's exactly what cars need to be, and I think that's exactly what a lot of drivers that spend a lot of time in their four-wheel drive utes will expect. So it's definitely going to be the ute that I would recommend people actually take for a drive and take off-road, take around the country, and take around wherever you want to explore, because it's not going to be the annoying car as part of that experience. The steering wheel is light enough in terms of the actual feedback on the steering wheel, while still being direct enough when you do need a bit of a resistance, or where you don't want the steering wheel to kind of just flicking left, right, and center. It is pretty stable in the input and the expected output, which some of its competitors are a little bit too light, meaning that you get either a sloppy driving experience when you're putting your inputs into the steering wheel, or you're getting overcorrections from what should be minor adjustments on the steering wheel. In terms of the seat, it's comfortable. The bolstering is absolutely fantastic. You get a little bit of noise on the inside, as you would expect from a turbo diesel 3-litre vehicle, but not too much compared to some of its competitors either, that perhaps get a bit more attention and a bit more sales. The visibility, as I mentioned, is fantastic in all of the areas, and the audio system is fantastic. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto being clear and a very nice display means that it's fantastic. And the active cruise control and autonomous emergency braking now detect motorcycles, which is fantastic, given that there are so many more motorcycles hanging around town and potentially getting into the wrong spots for drivers. So all round, I think this is definitely a car that you will grow to love after one test drive, let alone after owning the car. If you do own one of these, please let me know in the comment section. Do you like it? And what don't you like about the drive? What do you think they could have fixed? Look, if you're currently a BT-50 owner of the existing outgoing model from 2023, 2024, there's not a huge amount that's changed, but just enough to make you want to go back into the car. I certainly would recommend to consider the BT-50 if you are considering one of the top 2 utes on the current market, because I think you will get a lot better value for money out of the BT-50 and a much better driving experience for day-to-day driving, as well as those trips away. So let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next review.